Lick my balls.
Yo, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to try to fit a new radiator. So if you guys watched the last video when I was in the junkyard, I scored this guy right there and got this for free. So I spent a little bit of time here before I started recording to kind of measure out the radiator to make sure that this is going to work out second time around. If you guys haven't watched the video of the last radiator fabrication of this radiator, this one was going well until I pressurized the system way too much. So it blew out right there. It bulged out this sucker right here. It started leaking on this it started leaking on the side right there, and then it started leaking right at the little pinhole. And this was a no-go. So the new radiator, if you guys don't know the backstory, I don't think I've ever mentioned the backstory on this radiator. So this radiator came out of my EF sedan, right? When I first got it. So this radiator, what had happened was when I had the fan on here, when it was a full-size core, and the fan, you know, I've taken the motor, the radiator in and out so many different times throughout the whole build during the time of the sedan, and I didn't have the radiator fan brackets. I just zip tied them into the core, and what had happened was I was using a razor blade to cut the zip tie, and I slid it right there, and a lot more on the bottom here when the radiator was a full half core. And what I did was trying to make the radiator, you know, useful still, because back in the days I didn't have a job. I was a kid. I was just trying to do shit with no money. So I cut the radiator, and if you guys don't know, local to me, I have Spool & Performance. If you guys don't know Spool & Performance, he used to make turbo manifolds and stuff. Had an online store many years ago, and I was going to have him weld the inlets and outlets on here, and my ideal goal was to turn this radiator sideways so it would fit under the T-bar. Now this is long before I even knew about the Scirocco radiator, and that was my whole intentions, and it never worked out. So I ended up doing some research, found this guy, and used this one since my sedan into the wagon, into the CRX. Actually, I had it on the CRX for a while before I went Skunk Alpha. So this one failed. This is going to be my second attempt, and I cut the tank off this before because I wanted to make it wider for more capacity, because we trimmed off like freaking 3 inches of this radiator. And this is about 17 1/4. This radiator right here is about 16 1/2. So this is definitely going to sit a lot shorter. It should fit with the T-bar. I'm going to cut this sucker off as well, and I'm still going to make it an inline, probably on the back, just so it's away from all of this right here. And I'm going to try to keep this build simple. I don't want to go too crazy with it. I'm already talking too damn much, so let's get to measuring and cutting. Alright, so before I get too far, let me show you guys this really quickly, because I forgot to. Now I know a lot of you guys have been telling me, oh, why don't you just get like a EK or EG half core and call it a day. It does not fit. I've already tried all of that. So I've already cut this radiator, but I kind of taped it back up to kind of show you the fitment. This came out of an EK, right? So technically I'm just going to call it an EK half core, and yeah, does not fit at all. Even without the T-bracket, does not fit at all. Now, let me tell you guys right now, I hate the gangster lean. I hate the tilt. I hate that the radiator does not sit straight as it should. Okay, I really just dislike it. It kind of throws everything off for me as far as the engine bay goes. But a regular half core does not fit. Even the stock radiator does not fit. So we're not gonna argue anymore. We're not gonna talk about a half core anymore. We're not gonna talk about a Sirocco radiator anymore, because they don't fit in my engine bay. So I've already cut it off right there. That is a good like 4 inches, and the radiator is gonna sit right there, just like that. And I might be able to get away with putting a cap here and clearing the hood, so I might not even make an inline. I just got to figure out a hose situation. So I'm about to clean this radiator up really nice, make some plates to put on the end here, and I also cut this guy out of the side of that guy, which looks like this, and I'm gonna weld this on after the plates are done, because this is gonna help bowing. This is gonna help anything, you know, piercing through this for whatever reason, and it's gonna make it look more of a legitimate small radiator. All right, so what I have going on right now is I've already cut off my end tank plates. These are going to be capping off the opened right here, and I'm not welding them on just yet because I did a lot of grinding still, a lot of stuff gotten inside. So once I get everything else welded on, I'm gonna blow air in it with my compressor and get everything out here as much as I can before I cap them off, and then weld this guy on. And then the last thing to do after all of that is the tube that's going to be going to the bottom radiator hose. So right now I just finished grinding all of the tabs that I'm not going to be needing, because these are pretty much for a fan that has the legs to go out to these little tabs, 10 millimeters to bolt the fan into place. But since this fan is different, I removed those. I removed the drain, which interferes with the traction bar because it's right up in the front. And I'm going to be making these little tabs here. I just cut them. I'm going to be welding them right here to bolt these guys in. This one is going to be on the bottom to hold that guy into place, typically like the old radiator setup. And then that is pretty much all that I need. Now let's set up the welding machine and get welding. So I'm done welding the radiator fan brackets, 3 of them. I welded the tank, and then I welded the shield. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to run the bottom inlet or outlet to the block, and then this radiator will be done. But right now I'm going to test fit this one more time with the fan, and then drill out the holes on the top so we can bolt the fan in place. Now I haven't made the bottom bracket just yet. I wanted to finish up the radiator before I do, and these right here are some of the pipes that I'm going to be using to make the bottom outlet. And these pipes are actually going to be coming out the side of the radiator, not typically, you know, on the tank straight out like this on the bottom. So out the side like that, because this radiator is taller for the EF chassis. So if I weld it, you know, on the tank like this and clear the traction bar, the radiator will be like way up high like that. So the end tank is actually leveled up with the traction bar, and I have to make the outlet on the side, which then is going to come up, and then I'm going to angle it forward with this guy, which I cut off the other radiator, and it's going to point forward like that on the bottom. And then the hose is actually already down there. I don't know if you can see it. It's already down there, so technically it'll just go right there into the lower radiator, literally sitting under the charge pipe, which will work out just fine. And I'm gonna cut this guy right now, mock it all up, drill the hole on the radiator, and show you what I got before we possibly, no, actually maybe tomorrow, mount the radiator from underneath. All right, so we got this lower outlet welded up right there, and I was attempting to try to make those welds look fat like the sheepy intercoolers, but that'll do the job. So I'm gonna continue this tomorrow. We'll make the bracket on the bottom, and we'll make the one on the top as well. And then once everything is like, you know, 100% in place, we'll pull it back out, scuff this thing up, and I'm gonna paint it black this time around. And then we'll set it in place and figure out the hose, and then this radiator should be done. All right, so it is the next day, and I want to show you what I've came up with before we close out this video. Here we have an ugly bracket that I you know, thought I made straight, and once I bolted it in place, it is crooked. Now that bothers me, but this will do for now, and then we'll make another one later. But underneath, we can use the original bracket that I welded in the first time for the first radiator, and all I did was trim it, cleaned it, and welded it back on. There's only one post right there and not another one here, and the funny thing is it's actually lower than the lip. You can see it right there. Nonetheless, radiator is secured, and I'm gonna figure out a upper radiator hose because I don't have one. I don't think. Maybe I do, who knows. I'll dig through my box. Bottom one is in place. I just got to put the worm clamp on, and that'll be secured. Wire up the fan, and then yeah, looking really good. Crossing fingers this one doesn't have any leaks, and this should be hopefully a successful run with a mini radiator. Alright guys, so I didn't really show too much process on painting the radiator black, but all I did was tape up the core where all the fins and everything were at, and then I did high temp primer and flat black. So here is the radiator installed. I had this hose lying around, and then the bottom one is also secured into place. Just gotta wire the fan and figure out a reservoir. I'm probably gonna make one out of like 2.5 tubing or something, like that swirl tank I did a few weeks ago, and find a place for it. So that's all pretty much for the radiator. I'm actually loving it. A lot of clearance right there, and looks really good black actually. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you guys did. If you want to see more updates on the CRX, or at least the firing of the CRX, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.